Okay, who am I here with today?
Hi, Heidi. I'm Sophia Neely, part of the amazing class of 86.
So, I guess starting off with the questions, like where are you now and does your career path align with what you envisioned for out of high school?
I currently live in Chicago with my fiance, who is actually Suzanne Shainweiss, class of 85 at uni. So we live here, and I work at DePaul University. I'm an academic advisor for student athletes, and I also have a side hustle business of dissertation coaching and editing. So kind of a
Mm,
perfect spot for my like nerd jockness sort of. So I definitely cultivated that at uni. But in terms of career, yeah, never really thought about it at uni. I'm actually a serial career changer. I guess my careers have always or mostly been pretty much around education in one way or another, teaching,
hmm
coaching, recruitment, or now academic advising and editing. So
Do you think your like involvement in sports like basketball heavily influenced your decision to like become an academic advisor for like athletes?
yes, 100%. I was really looking for a way to have work-life balance. I love working with the student athletes. It's fun for me. They're all in all different majors, different classes. It's kind of a really great place. But yes,
Mhm.
absolutely was thrilled to be and kind of trying to target this type of environment, sort of student services, but in within
Yeah.
athletics if possible. Yeah.
And I guess like you're pretty much like a Hall of Famer at uni because like you're the only one who has their banner hung up. And you're on a ton of the billboards too, like the scoreboards. So, like a question I wanted to ask you was like, how was women's basketball like when you played, and like how was it at uni?
Well, it was just getting started, really.
Mhm.
Long time beloved math teacher, Pat McLaughlin. A lot of the older alums, especially, will remember Pat. But he was the girls' basketball coach. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like a volunteer position. The
Mhm.
team was only, I think, had only been around for about 5 years when I started playing.
Oh,
And we were only playing no, 13 games a year for the first 2 years, my first and second year at uni. We only played 13 games, whereas the boys team was playing like 26, a
yeah.
normal 26 game season. So Pat McLaughlin, credit him a ton for like really just committing to us. And then Sally Walker came in. I guess it was probably my sophomore year, or between sophomore and junior year, and she was like, "Why are we only playing 13 games?" So she really put more emphasis on the girls basketball
Mhm.
program, understanding that hey, just because we're a small school doesn't mean that we can't compete with these other small teams. So it was
Mhm.
just a pretty cool thing to be involved with. I mean, the school, we had tons of our friends came and watched the games. We had actually
Mhm.
fairly good crowds at Kenny Gym, so it was fun.
So I guess like with that said, like you said there was only like 13 games. Like how did you score so many points? I think you scored like maybe like 800, like about 800 when I checked. Mr. Beasley told me that they didn't also have like a 3-point line back then. So like how exactly did you score so many points?
Well, I mean, pretty much if I wasn't shooting, the coaches were telling me to shoot. So it's their fault. No, I mean, I think I was, if not the only person, one of the only people on the team who ever played basketball before entering uni.
hmm
So I was already, an athlete. I was already, I enjoyed playing a lot of sports. So I guess it was just kind of natural that, plus I loved it. I mean, but my teammates were always in the gym too. Like I just really appreciate that, they were trying to get better just as I was. And it wasn't really like their main thing, but it really was for me. It was
Yeah.
kind of something that I knew I wanted to keep doing. So I guess it just kind of was natural that like my job was to score a lot of points. We weren't gonna wow teams with, our
Mhm.
offensive, prowess. So we became a very good defensive team and held other teams. But yeah, no 3 pointers. So I took a lot of shots. I made a lot of shots. it was kind of part of our offense, pass it to me. I would pass to someone else. If they could shoot, they would. But if not, they kind of get it back to me. I mean, I went to a lot of camps, so I knew how to kind of create shots for myself. But it was just, I never like felt like, oh yeah, me. Like
Yeah.
I was more excited when someone else scored, honestly,
Mhm.
because if we could make a good pass, a good play, that's what made me happy. So, I mean, yeah, I'm proud of my career and all that, but yeah, I guess it was just if I wasn't going to score, we probably weren't going to have a lot of other people doing it. So,
Yeah. I guess like my next question is like, did you envision getting recruited to play basketball at like Dartmouth? And like, how did that process work?
well, I went to a couple of kind of exposure camps,
Yeah.
I guess, where you put on a number. We knew there were
Mhm.
college coaches there, but I really reached out to Ivy League schools because my parents had both gone to an Ivy League school and they were just like, oh, you should check it out. And I started looking into like Dartmouth and Yale, and then some other Ivies, but those two primarily. And so I reached out, I sent a tape, Pat McLaughlin's like filming our
Yeah.
games. So I sent a couple game films and so they started recruiting me. They're like, oh yeah, we would love to
Hmm.
continue the conversation. And I visited, they invited me for recruiting visits, but it was completely like we had no idea. My parents had no idea. The
Hmm.
recruiting process, I mean, it's still pretty early at that point. There was no like,
Hmm.
not a lot of traveling teams, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, I mean, I reached out, made the first contact, and then they started recruiting me after that.
And like, how was your experience transitioning from like uni, like a pretty small community, to like a bigger college team, like a college like sports environment?
Uh, it was challenging, primarily because I didn't have a lot of confidence. I mean,
Mm.
which is probably surprising. Like, you scored almost 12,000 points. I mean, 2,000 points in high school. You think, well, you're probably pretty confident.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I was a big fish in a small pond. And now I just thought
Yeah.
everybody was way better than I was. And so I credit my coaches at Dartmouth and my teammates for being like, come on, get your act
Yourself
together.
some
And
credit.
but it worked out great. And I mean, the friendships both in high school and college basketball. I mean, my best friends for life, my wife, like these are kind of the relationships that have really stuck the longest.
I guess like what is your most memorable moment from your time as a student?
Well, it is always tough to pinpoint like one moment.
Yeah.
However, because I was on the basketball team and because I was fortunate to have had the opportunity to make a game-winning shot, at the
Mhm.
buzzer. We were down by 1 point and away at Homer, and
Yeah.
we got the ball back. They had the ball. We got our full court press going. We got the ball back, and 3 seconds left. Inbound the ball to me. I was able to make a last second shot at the buzzer, so we won the game.
Mhm.
But the most amazing thing about that was that they had it playing in the PE office like for the whole rest of that week. Like everybody was just coming in watching the
Oh,
video of like so,
oh, that's
so
so
it became this
nice.
kind of like thing that we were able to like relive over and over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an individual accomplishment that normally I don't focus on, but hey, it was a pretty great moment, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess like I feel like this is a good time because like like the women's NCAA championship just happened. How do you feel about like how much the sport of basketball has grown? Like especially this year with like Caitlin Clark. I think the national championship was actually for women's like was watched more than the men's. Like how do you feel about like this like huge start growth like from when you played?
I mean, I feel like it's a long time coming. Like, this should have happened a really long time ago. And I'm constantly, arguing with people about you need to cover women's sports because then people will get interested in
Yeah.
women's sports. But then the media says, well, nobody's interested, so we don't cover it. And I'm like, you have a
Exactly.
big influence, and I think we've started to see that. And then with like social media, um, but I think it's amazing. It's obviously amazing for the game.
And I guess like last question, like what advice do you have for current students on how to make the most of their time at uni?
Well, I'm a little bit removed from current students
Yeah.
age-wise, but I do advise college students, so I kind of know at least. But I think I'm guessing there's a lot of focus on like getting into college. Yes, you do what you need to do. You fill out some forms and things, but enjoy your time at uni, enjoy your time with your friends. Yes, study, but try not to be super like worried about,
Caught
oh,
up.
I have to get all A's or I have to do all these extracurriculars strictly for college admission. It will be fine. You'll go to a place that's right for you. And if you don't, you can transfer. But most people, I think, find their place and enjoy the moment. Yeah, challenge yourself, but really try to spend your time discovering who you are, like what you love, and how you can use your gifts to make an impact on the world in a positive way.
So my project is called Behind the Handprint. But I know you told me that like you don't have a handprint, but like if you had to place it somewhere, where would you put it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I guess we can't put it in the gym, but if we could, I'd probably put it in uni gym because my
Mhm.
formative years were spent ruining my knees in uni gym. So yeah,
Oh wait, were the games played in Uni Gym or Kenny Gym?
my first year, actually, first year in uni gym, and then we moved over to Kenny, and that was yeah, thankfully because
Thankfully.
probably my knees would be completely
Yeah.
screwed now, probably.
All right. Well, I think that's all I have.
Thanks a lot, Heidi.
All right.
All
Thank you
right,
so much.
thanks.